This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing one of my fancy booktube hats, and today I'm bringing you another TBR. I know I'm way overdue on some of my wrap-ups. I need to do my May wrap-up. I'm a little intimidated by it. It's going to be big. I think I might have to split it into two parts to make it less intimidating to film. And then I also now owe you a wrap-up from the sci-fi summer readathon that I just finished participating in, for which I read 3 of the 5 books that were on my TBR. But that's for another day, because today I have to bring you my TBR for the Because Dragons readathon. This readathon starts tomorrow as I'm filming this. It's going to be running from the 13th through the 19th of June. It's hosted by Jordan from Call Me Sensei. She is on Tumblr and Twitter. I will link the Tumblr post announcing the readathon as well as her Twitter. You can follow her there. And this is a readathon that focuses on reading fantasy books. So I had a sci-fi readathon this month and now a fantasy readathon this month. Now I should also mention that during this week, on the 17th, which is Saturday, there is going to be a day-long readathon, and that's round 2 of the Getting Graphic readathon, which is hosted by Caitlin from Kitty G and Elena from Elena Reads Books. I'm planning on participating in that as well. That's a day-long readathon for reading graphic novels and other visual format things. I won't be posting an actual TBR video for that readathon. However, I'm still getting some of my books I'm hoping to read in from the library, and when I have them all, I think I'm just going to post a TBR on Twitter. But I mention it because it's going to be eating into my time for this readathon. I expect I won't finish all of the books that I have here. I have one for each of the 5 challenges for the Because Dragons readathon, but if I find that the books that I'm reading for the Getting Graphic readathon, many of which are fantasy, end up fulfilling some of those challenges, I might count them and cheat it a bit. That said, there are 5 challenges, and I do have a book picked out for each one. We'll see what I end up reading, though. So 1, a fantasy book with white on the cover. It can be any amount, but of course I knew what it had to be for me because this is still hanging over my head. This is The Once and Future King. I did not read The Ill-Made Knight last month, so I will be reading The Ill-Made Knight, which is book 3 of 4 of The Once and Future King. It's a bind-up book of 4 shorter books, and I am reading them one at a time. The next challenge is to read a fantasy book with an LGBT plus main character. For this, I have Passing Strange by Klages. My last review that I posted was a double review video in which one of the books that I reviewed was Wicked Wonders, her short story collection, which was recently released. I really liked that. I'm very much looking forward to reading more of her work. I believe this focuses on queer female characters in San Francisco in 1940. It's also supposed to have appearances from characters from 2 of the stories that I really liked in Wicked Wonders, and it's from the Tor.com novella line. It's a little long for a novella in my opinion, but it's still a shorter book, making it, I hope, appropriate for a readathon where I might be pressed for time. The third challenge is to listen to a fantasy audiobook. I have a couple audiobooks on CD to listen to. The one that is most fantasy is The Reader by Traci Chee. This is the first in a young adult fantasy series. I think it's the only book that's out so far in this series. It's a new series. The narrator on this is Kim, my guest. So since I have this on CD, I know that I have to spend some time tonight importing this into iTunes so I can listen to it on my phone. Next is a fantasy book with fire on the cover or in the title. And this may seem really strange, but I don't actually have a ton of those on my TBR right now, and those that I do have that are really obviously either fire in the cover or the title and are very obviously fantasy are not books that I'm particularly eager to pull to the top of my TBR at the moment. I have one out from the library, though, that has fire on the cover, but I'm not sure to what extent it qualifies as fantasy. So the book that I have out from the library is What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours, which is a short story collection by Helen The American cover, I don't like the American cover for this book, but that does seem to me to be very crudely drawn fire. I expect these to be more sort of fabulous literary fiction with maybe some fairy tale inspirations than actual fantasy. But I'm hoping there will be enough fantastical elements in this to count. If I read a story or two and I think it's not really fantasy, I might ditch it and try for something else. I may have something on my Kindle that would do the trick. I'd have to go digging. And the last challenge is to read a fantasy book that features mythological creatures. This is the one that's most likely that I'll be filling with one of my Getting Graphic reads. Several of the ones I already have mythological creatures in them. But in case I miraculously have some time, I also have another library book. This is another young adult fantasy novel called Eyes Like Stars by Lisa Mantchev. This is one that I have some serious trepidation about because I've seen lots of negative reviews for it. This is one of the group reads right now for a Goodreads group that I'm a member of called Into the Forest that reads a lot of retellings and fairy tale and folklore inspired books. The theme right now for the group reads for that group is magical Shakespeare. And so this is the young adult pick, and this is a book that I believe has like the fairies from Midsummer and Ariel from The Tempest in it. And I love me some magical Shakespeare, but I can be really picky about it. So I do have an incredible amount of trepidation about this book, given that I've seen disappointed reviews. So if I don't have time, this one may just go back to the library unread. So there's a loose TBR for me for the Because Dragons readathon. Let me know if you're also participating in this readathon, what you're planning on reading. Let me know if you can tell me whether or not I can in good conscience consider What Is Not Yours fantasy. And let me know if you've read Eyes Like Stars, if it's actually worth the time. Anyhow, I hope you're having a nice day. That is all. Bye for now.